theMacks Gaming coming back at you live with our first episode of the Max Answer Fan Questions. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's had a great holiday we have here at the Max house. And we've taken just a little break, redoing some of our audio.
Yeah, redoing a whole bunch of things behind the scenes.
I'm not flying solo tonight. Lil Mac is here in person, so the Mac Father and Lil Mac are back.
Back at it again.
So this question comes from one of our subscribers, Thomas, on one of our more popular videos, which was the Feed the Beast Infinity Evolve series, dealing with level emitters.
Yes.
So we'll get right into the question.
Yes.
So his question was, he wants to make Enderium gears and have a certain amount of them. I think he said
5,000?
10,000, 50,000. Hey, if you got Enderium enough to do 50,000, 10,000 gears, the more power to you, buddy. Because that is boss. And we like that kind of style.
We like it.
If I had Enderium, I would put them all over my house. Oh.
Just Enderium wallpaper.
Enderium wallpaper. So there's two ways to do this, okay?
All right.
One is a more simpler approach, and one's a little bit more complex.
All right, well, I guess we should...
What?
Oh.
The heck?
You get angry at the ground again.
Gopher. I fell in the gopher hole.
All right, so...
I don't think there's gophers in Minecraft. But
there
anyways.
should be. Get on that notch.
All right, so he said he had a molten Enderium bedrock drum full, and that is pretty awesome. We don't have ours full, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So for this setup, we have our drum, which is acting on as our storage, correct?
Yeah, and the way we do that is we just take this little storage bus, fluid storage bus to be specific.
Fluid storage bus connected to that drum, and now you can see through the fluid terminal that we have fluid storage there, okay?
Yeah.
That's the first part. The second part of this is really easy. So we have, what we have here, Lil Mac, is a casting basin.
Right.
Or casting table.
Yep.
With a cast of a gear in it.
On top of that, we have a fluid export bus. And on top of the fluid export bus, we have a level emitter.
Okay, so let's talk about the fluid export bus first.
Okay.
As you can see, it's not exporting anything right now.
Correct. Now, the reason it's not doing that is because of the level emitter above it. Also, inside we have a redstone card.
So we're telling the fluid export bus to export Enderium from this whip, right?
Yep. Now we also have the redstone card set to active with signal.
So it needs a redstone card, and you need to set it to active with signal.
And that means it will only send Enderium through when it has a redstone signal.
That is correct. That's easy, right?
Very. Now
Second part.
The way we supply the signal, we have this level emitter. We have, if you go inside of it, we have it set to 10 gears. And we also have it set to emit when the levels are below the signal.
So we're talking about item level type, and the redstone mode is emit when levels are below the 10 gear limit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now we have 10 gears in the system, so it won't emit anything.
So if I wanted to bump it up,
it'll bump it up to 20, and then
so let's
50.
say if I want 50 of them.
All right.
The redstone signal comes on, telling this to flow, going into the basin with the casting of a gear, and you can see those are being made, and they're being sucked up by this ME import bus.
Correct.
So now if you look into our system, you can see the gears are being stored.
Yep, slowly but surely.
You will need some kind of storage to hold the gears.
Yes, but that's pretty simple.
Simple.
All right.
Done.
So what about the second way?
The second way is our level emitter wall, right?
Right.
Okay, so a little bit more complex.
All right, so what are we going to need for this one? We're going to need crafters.
You're going to need some kind of crafters.
Some kind of molecular assembler.
Yep.
You need some kind of patterns for the molecular assembler.
That go in the interface.
Correct.
So, and we have, over here, we have a casting basin this time.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about the assemblers first.
All right.
The casting basin is making Enderium blocks. So I imagine that Thomas has an liquid Enderium world somewhere, right?
When you have a full bedrockium drum of Enderium, you probably have a liquid Enderium world.
So you're probably pumping it out with an endothermic pump into maybe
Maybe into an ender tank.
Ender
into your
tank, and the
system.
ender tank's filling up the drum, or you could put the ender tank right on top. I mean, and just make Enderium blocks all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we would do. We would take that world and fill up our drum maybe, and take that drum and go over here and say to this ME fluid export bus, and put this whip in here and say export Enderium into this basin,
All the
making
time.
Enderium blocks all the time, and then this import bus is sucking them up.
Correct.
So that's one part.
Now we have the Enderium blocks. So what do we do with that?
So you have to make two patterns, okay?
All right.
You have to make one pattern saying turn this.
Right.
Let me just get rid of this.
Yeah, the Enderium block.
Turn the Enderium block into Enderium units pattern. Bam, right?
Right.
So now the next pattern you need is to make the gear pattern, right? So we'll go like this with our Enderium, and you take iron in the middle and say this is our Enderium pattern, making Enderium gears, blam, right? You can take those two, right? So you take those two, and you go over to your assembler and the ME interface that's attached to it, and slap those in.
Okay.
So saying when we need Enderium to make Enderium gears, Enderium ingots, it's going to craft those down from Enderium blocks, 9 ingots, and then it's going to take those ingots and make those Enderium gears.
Right.
When we want it to. But in this case, he wants to have them on hand. So you could craft them.
Yeah, you could
Go in here and say, hey, we'll show this, show crafted item, craftable. So we could say craft those, right?
Yeah, we could just manually do that.
Okay, so
but we want them on hand.
So he wants 50,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever the boss number is that he wants.
Yeah,
he's going to decorate his whole house in.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do this real fast.
Okay.
Boom.
Boom. There we go.
So he wants a certain amount on hand. So that gets into our level emitter system, right?
Correct.
So what we have is our
level emitter wall. So we have a ME interface right here that's hooked up to the system. We have an ME export bus, and we have an ME level emitter.
That's correct. So let's go over the interface is just the
to capture the items and bring them back.
That's
to the
being
system.
the made. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's go over the export bus. Export bus. We're going to export
Enderium gears.
And in here we have a redstone card.
And a crafting card.
And a crafting card. And then we put accelerators in there just because we like to do it fast.
Yeah. So
the redstone card is doing what, Lil Mac?
Well, it's telling it not to push any items through, not to craft anything without a redstone signal.
So active redstone mode is active with signal only.
Mm-hmm.
And then the crafting card is saying
just to craft them. Don't use up our storage.
Don't use stocked items. Only craft items while exporting.
Correct.
Okay, so the second part is the level emitter.
Yeah.
And as the other side, we have our Enderium gear. Mm-hmm. We had it set to 10 on the item level, and we're saying emit a level when the items are below the 10 limit. Okay.
Correct.
Well, let's just bump that up and say we want
110.
310. Okay, so the signal comes on, and we obviously have to tell this to export blocks into this because this is what we'd be making blocks all the time.
Exactly. We would have a deep store somewhere.
And now you can see the assembler.
When it comes on, when we have enough.
Because it needs blocks, right?
Yeah, it needs the blocks. It'll only do it when it has a certain amount of blocks in there. 9, and then it should start doing it.
Will you craft, please?
Craft it.
How many gears do we have in there?
We have 50.
Oh, it is crafting them. It's just doing it quick.
Oh, it is?
Let's put Enderium blocks in just to see.
Yeah, just... wow. Big typo. ENDERIUM.
Hey, don't get on my typing, okay? Let's just give me some of those. And we'll throw them in the system because that's what it's making all the time.
Yep, and there it goes. Now it's making.
Now you can see it's making. So we put just a couple acceleration cards in here. So it's slamming these things through. It's making 32, 21, 0. Bam.
Yeah,
so it's doing 32 at a time. So it's going to make those, Little Mac, until it hits that 210 limit, right?
Right.
So in this case, if you were using this Thomas, you would set this to your 10,000 limit or whatever you wanted.
Yep.
And it will make those all the
day.
time until you have it. Now, this will pour and make these blocks and store them into your storage system until you suck that world dry. And that's what I would do. Suck the world dry.
Yeah, use up all the Enderium you can.
Yeah, so you would have storage enough to hold your Enderium blocks. And then when you got done wallpapering your house with Enderium gears, or you needed more Enderium gears to wallpaper your house, it would craft them.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I hope this answers your question.
I think it should.
There's nothing wrong with either way. If you want to use a table versus the basin, be my guest.
Yeah, the table's a lot cheaper, I'd say. It's a lot easier to do.
Not necessarily cheaper. It's just easier.
Well, you still do have to have a
Easier,
whole bunch
cheaper.
of
Yeah,
Enderium.
you don't need iron too. It's less likely because you don't need another item, which is iron.
Right.
But if you wanted to do that level emitter wall like we have it, then you would have to turn your Enderium into blocks and put those two patterns into an assembler and have some crafting units and a little storage available.
Yeah.
This is a really simple setup. It's nothing too complex. And
I think that'll do it.
I think that's our first episode, Little Mac, of the Max Gaming Answering Fan Questions.
I guess so, yeah.
I hope everyone had a happy holiday. We did. And we'll be back once we get some of our... we have some little background issues. We're trying to upgrade some of the audio and some of the components going into our videos. I hope that the sound sounds a little bit better on this one. And keep shooting us those questions. We appreciate it, Thomas, for you subscribing and watching our stuff. We don't take that lightly. And if anyone else has any questions on our episodes, we'll stand by for episode 2 maybe.
Yeah. Ask away.
Say goodbye, Little Mac.
Later, peeps.
If you were here, I would kill you, obviously, but you're not, so I'll just say goodbye.
All right.